On my way to the divorce hearing, I assisted an old man on the bus. He asked to go with me to the courthouse, and when we arrived, the instant my husband laid eyes on him, his face went ashen with terror. It turned out, that old man was. Can you imagine being told you're worthless, and embarrassment, that your entire life was a lie? I was. And then came the divorce summons. But what if that day, the day I was meant to lose everything, actually turned out to be the moment my entire world flipped upside down, all because of a simple, unexpected act of kindness? It still gives me chills to think about it. That morning, the sun streamed through the kitchen blinds, but it did absolutely nothing to warm my heart. My gaze was fixed, numb, on a manila envelope lying silently on the dining table. Cook County Domestic Relations Division. My hands started to tremble, a violent shake I couldn't control as I reached for it. My heart pounded, like it already knew the bad news hidden inside. It had been weeks since Gabe, my husband, had even bothered to come home. Gabe. The man who once promised forever, who started from nothing with me. He'd changed. Ever since his law career took off, his name becoming known around Chicago, he'd turned cold. Calls went unanswered. Excuses piled up. And then, he just left. No goodbye. Nothing. With bated breath, I tore open the seal. My eyes frantically scanned the white paper. A summons. For a divorce hearing. Tomorrow morning. My chest tightened, as if all the air had been sucked out of the room. Tears, hot and stinging, fell onto the paper, proof of my marriage's failure. They hadn't even dried when my phone buzzed. Gabe. His name used to make me smile. Now, it was a knife twisting in my stomach. With still trembling fingers, I opened the message. You got the letter, right? Don't forget to show up tomorrow. I expect you to cooperate. Don't make a scene. Don't complicate things. No greeting. No courtesy. It was like I was a stranger. I took a deep, shaky breath, trying to claw back some shred of courage. Gabe, why does it have to be like this? Can't we talk? What did I do wrong for you to divorce me so suddenly? His response was quick. And every word was a razor blade. Talk? We have nothing in common to talk about anymore, Stella. Get a clue. Look at me now. And look at you. I'm an attorney at a prestigious firm. I meet high-profile clients every day. And you? You're just an ordinary housewife. Kitchen and bedroom. You're not on my level anymore. Taking you to work events would just embarrass me. You can't adapt to my world. I sank weakly into a dining chair. My heart didn't just break, it shattered. His honest, brutal confession. I remembered the hard times, when he was in law school, when we split a single meal because his money went to textbooks. I worked extra hours, sewing clothes late into the night to pay for his tuition. I encouraged him when he failed his exams and almost gave up. You forgot who was with you from the beginning, I typed through my sobs. The tears were a flood now. Who sewed your first suit for your job interview? It was me, your wife. Don't talk about the past, he shot back. That was a wife's obligation. I've paid you back by giving you food and a decent place to live. We're even. Listen carefully, Stella. At the hearing tomorrow, agree to all the demands without objection. As for assets? Forget it. The house, the car, the savings. It's all in my name. You have no real financial contribution. Don't even try to claim a division. My jaw dropped. How clever he was. The down payment for our modest house? It came from my savings, from all those nights sewing before he was successful. But Gabe, this house. I didn't get to finish typing before he called. My hands trembled as I answered. Hello? My voice was a hoarse whisper. Listen, Stella. His voice was loud, firm, full of intimidation. Don't even try to fight this. I'm a lawyer. I know the loopholes. If you dare claim any assets or complicate this divorce, I'll make sure you don't get a single penny. I'll expose all your faults in front of the judge. I'll make you a disgrace for life until no one even wants to be your friend. What faults, Gabe? I sobbed, my heart aching at the accusations. I never did anything wrong. I can find your faults. That's my specialty, he shouted arrogantly. I can twist the facts until you look guilty. So, if you want a quiet life after the divorce, do as I say. Show up tomorrow, nod your head, sign, and get out of my life. Just take your clothes. Everything else is mine. He hung up. Just like that. I weakly placed my phone on the table. The dining room felt silent, oppressive. I looked around the modest house, the one I'd cared for with all my love for 5 years. The walls I painted. The curtains I sewed. Everything bore my mark. And now he wanted to snatch it all away because he felt I wasn't worthy. His success, which my prayers and sweat had helped achieve. That pain transformed into an oppressive weight, crushing my chest. I felt so small, so helpless. My opponent was my own husband, a lawyer who knew the law, skilled with words. What could a simple woman like me do? I had no lawyer. No influential friends. Yet, in that despair, I caught my reflection in the sideboard mirror. Swollen face, red, puffy eyes. Should I just give up? I whispered. Then, my late mother's words echoed, be a strong woman. Keep your dignity. No, I whispered, wiping my tears away harshly. I may be poor now. I may not have a degree like Gabe. But I have dignity. I won't let him trample all over me. Let him have the assets, but he will not humiliate my spirit. That night, I couldn't sleep. I packed my clothes into an old duffel bag. I wouldn't take his possessions. But I would go to that courthouse with my head held high. I would face Gabe. I would show him that he could divorce me, but he couldn't destroy me. Tomorrow. The decisive day. I zipped up my old bag. No money for a taxi, Gabe had blocked access to our joint account. The car was already gone. I'll take the CTA bus, I murmured. It's okay. I used to. The night wind howled outside, mirroring the storm brewing inside me. I closed my eyes, praying for strength. Unbeknownst to me, a different scenario was already written, one neither Gabe nor I could have imagined. A simple encounter that would change everything. The morning sun wasn't yet high, but its rays felt scorching on my skin. Today. The day I dreaded, but had to face. I stood before the old mirror, adjusting a cream-colored scarf, faded from countless washes. Gabe had given it to me 5 years ago with a look full of love. Now, it was a silent witness to my fate. I wore a modest long dress, no jewelry. My wedding ring lay in a drawer, too heavy a symbol of a bond about to be severed. I tried to cover the dark circles under my eyes, but tears from the night couldn't be fully hidden. I left the house, my castle, closing the door carefully. The key might soon be his. Just take your clothes. Everything else is mine. Those words echoed, making my stomach ache. As I stepped past the gate, I saw neighbors, gathered by their mailboxes. I lowered my head, hoping to pass unnoticed. No chance. Hey, there's Stella, one whispered. Just loud enough. All dressed up. Where could she be going? They say she's going to her divorce hearing, another gossiped. Poor thing. Her husband's a successful lawyer, new cars. And she has to walk to court. I wonder if she did something wrong. Could be. Rich people look for their own level. Maybe Stella didn't take care of herself. That's why he found someone prettier. Those sharp words pierced my ears. I wanted to scream, to tell them how I'd sacrificed my youth, my skin, my energy for his career. How I hadn't taken care of myself because I was saving money to buy him expensive shoes. But my tongue was paralyzed. I just quickened my pace, leaving them to their contempt. The bus stop was half a mile away. I walked along the dusty sidewalk. Luxury cars zipped past, reminding me of Gabe's. I used to sit in the passenger seat, listening to him talk about his victories. Now, I was just a pedestrian, marginalized by the heat and dust. Cold sweat dripped down my temples. But the fear in my chest was far worse. The image of that cold, formal courtroom haunted me. Gabe in his expensive suit, his sharp lawyers, ready to tear my dignity to shreds with legal arguments I wouldn't understand. What if I say the wrong thing? What if the judge believes his lies? What if they really throw me out with nothing? Where will I live? That fear was a monster, slowly devouring my courage. I clutched my bag. I felt like an ant facing an elephant. Gabe had everything: money, status, knowledge, connections. I only had my honesty and a sliver of faith. At the bus stop, I sat on the rusting metal bench. People around me were lost in their own worlds. I felt utterly alone. No hand to hold. No shoulder to lean on. A gleaming black sedan drove past. Tinted windows, but I recognized the license plate. Gabe's car. My heart seemed to stop. The car glided smoothly through traffic, arrogant. While I waited for the old, late bus. The difference in our fates, starkly displayed. Dear God, I prayed, my eyes on the asphalt. If this separation is the best path, strengthen my heart. Don't let me break down in the face of Gabe's arrogance. Give me just one sign of your help today so I don't feel so alone. Soon, the city bus appeared, black smoke billowing. It was packed. The driver yelled. I took a deep breath, strengthening my legs, preparing to squeeze in, bracing myself for an uncomfortable journey. As uncomfortable as my life had become. I boarded, unaware that my prayer was about to be answered in the most unexpected way. The air inside was suffocating. Sweat, stale smoke, road dust. I stood, squeezed between a man with a large sack and loud students. My legs ached, trying to keep balance as the bus lurched. The driver seemed to be chasing a quota, reckless. I closed my eyes for a moment, trying to calm the turmoil in my chest, but the blaring horns kept me awake. The priority seats were full, ironically, with young people absorbed in their phones, pretending to sleep, or wearing headphones, blind to the world. No one cared that a pregnant woman struggled in the back, or an elderly man clung to a pole. The bus slowed, nearing a stop. The hydraulic door screeched open. Come on, hurry up if you're getting on, the driver yelled. From the curb, an old man struggled to board. White hair, thin body, faded plaid shirt, loose pants. His wrinkled hands trembled as he reached for the handrail. His steps were heavy, slow. Hey, old man, pick it up a little. The driver scolded him impatiently. We're on a schedule. He didn't even get out to help. The other passengers glanced, annoyed, then returned to their business. No empathy. The slow old man was just an obstacle. He finally got one foot on, breathing heavily. But he barely found something to hold onto when the impatient driver slammed the accelerator. The bus shot forward. The old man's frail body lurched backward. He lost his balance. Watch out, a woman near the door shouted, but didn't move. I saw what was happening from the middle of the aisle. Forgetting my own sorrow, my shame, my humanitarian instinct took over. With an agility I didn't know I had, I pushed through passengers and caught his arm just before he fell backward toward the still open door. Be careful, sir. I exclaimed, supporting his weight with all my strength. My hands, gentle but firm, held his arm, saving him from a fatal accident. He was in shock, pale, breathing ragged. He looked at me, panic still in his eyes. "Thank you. Thank you, my dear," he rasped. I gave a small, sincere, reassuring smile. "You're welcome, sir. Hold on to me." I looked around for a seat. Nothing. All taken. My eyes fell on a young man in the priority seat, engrossed in his phone. "Excuse me, young man," I said, soft but firm. "Could you please give your seat to this gentleman? He can't stand for long." He looked up, glaring, annoyed. He huffed, as if I'd interrupted a crucial moment. Reluctantly, with a sour face, he stood and moved to the back, grumbling. "Please sit here, sir," I said, guiding the old man. I made sure he was comfortable. He sighed in relief, massaging his trembling knees. Calmer, he looked up at me. "Thank you so much, my dear. If it weren't for you, I might have rolled right out." I could see his face more clearly now. Wrinkles, but sharp, serene eyes. A strange dignity emanated from him, not matching his worn clothes. "It was nothing, sir. It's our duty to help each other," I replied, adjusting my handbag, trying to hide my left hand, now ringless. "It's rare to find young people who care like you these days," he murmured, his eyes scanning me. My simple clothes, my pretty face clouded with sorrow, my swollen eyes. The old man, Arthur Kessler, wasn't just some random bus passenger. He deliberately left his luxury car at home, wanting to reminisce, to feel the pulse of humble lives. He hadn't expected an accident, nor help from a woman carrying the weight of the world. "My dear, where are you headed?" Mr. Kessler asked, trying to start a conversation. He wanted to know more about this kind woman. I hesitated. I wasn't used to confiding in strangers, especially about something I was so ashamed of. Family court. Divorce. Thrown away by my successful husband. How could I say that? "I have some business to attend to, sir," I replied diplomatically, forcing a stiff smile. He nodded slowly, as if he understood I didn't want to reveal more. But his old eyes, which had for decades observed people in the defendant's box, could read body language. He saw unease, fear, deep sadness. "Your face is clouded, my dear, like the sky outside," he said. His voice gentle, like a father's. "A good person like you doesn't deserve to look so sad." That simple sentence, for some reason, struck a chord. The defenses I'd built since morning slowly crumbled in the noisy bus. The sincere attention from this unknown old man made my eyes well up again. I turned my face to the window, holding back tears. This unexpected encounter was cracking open my frozen heart. The bus lurched. The conversation flowed slowly, creating our own pocket of tranquility. I took a deep breath, trying to push away the tightness in my chest. I looked at Mr. Kessler again. He reminded me of my late father, serene, wise, radiating a sincerity rare in the city. I didn't know what prompted me, but my walls came down. Maybe I was tired of keeping everything to myself. Or maybe I felt I'd never see him again. So, no harm in sharing. "I'm going to the Cook County Courthouse, sir," I finally whispered, almost too low for others to hear. My eyes dropped to my worn shoes. Mr. Kessler was silent, not surprised, but his expression grew more serious, full of empathy. He shifted in his seat to hear me over the bus noise. "Not to file a marriage license for someone else, I hope?" he asked carefully, already guessing. I shook my head slowly, a bitter smile on my lips. "No, sir. To end my own marriage. Today is my first hearing." A momentary silence. Only the voice of a street vendor broke it. "My husband doesn't want me anymore, sir." This time, the tears couldn't be held back. A single drop landed on my clenched hand. "He's successful now, an important man. He says I'm not worthy, that I'm just an embarrassment. Mr. Kessler's jaw tightened. His wrinkled hand gripped his wooden cane more firmly. As someone who had been in the legal world for decades, he'd seen cases like this. The cliché of someone forgetting their roots, loyalty betrayed by glitter. But hearing it from a woman as kind as me still made his heart ache with anger. "He's a fool," Mr. Kessler said suddenly. His voice firm, though soft. I turned, surprised by his directness. "What do you mean, sir?" He looked directly into my eyes, his gaze sharp yet reassuring, transmitting a magical strength. "My dear, in this world there are many people with flawed vision. They are dazzled by glittering shards of glass, thinking they are beautiful gems. To chase those pieces of glass, they throw away the genuine diamond they held for years. Your husband is one of them. He's so blinded by the glass that he's forgotten he just threw away the most precious diamond of his life." I was stunned. His words were so beautiful, they hit me right in the heart. All this time, Gabe made me feel worthless, like trash. But this stranger, whom I'd just met, called me a diamond. "But I'm not a diamond, sir," I objected quietly, my low self-esteem kicking back in. "I'm just an ordinary woman. No degree. Not rich. Not beautiful like my husband's colleagues." "A pretty face and a degree fade with time, my dear," he interrupted. "But a sincere heart that dares to help an old man on a bus when she herself is in trouble? That is a rare luxury. That is the real diamond. And believe me, one day your husband will weep bitterly when he realizes what he let go of today." His words were like cool water on the barren wasteland of my heart. For the first time since that summons, I felt valued. I felt seen, as a human being, not an expired object. "Thank you, sir." "You are very kind," I said, wiping the last tears. "I pray your children will always cherish you." Mr. Kessler smiled mysteriously, neither confirming nor denying, just gently patting my hand. "Save your tears, my dear. Don't cry for someone who doesn't know your worth. Lift your head. You did nothing wrong. Let the world see that you are strong." Not long after, the driver shouted, "Courthouse. Domestic Relations Division. Anyone getting off?" I flinched. The short journey passed so quickly. My heart pounded again. The battlefield. "I have to get off here, sir," I said, standing. I reflexively extended my hand again. "Where are you getting off?" "Let me help you move to the side." He stood slowly, holding my hand. "I'm getting off here, too, my dear." I frowned. "You have business at the court?" "Yes, a small matter." "I thought I'd walk with you," he replied calmly. "Oh, please don't trouble yourself, sir. You must be tired." "It's no trouble. On the contrary, I want to make sure you walk in there with your head held high. Consider it my way of paying you back for helping me." He was stubborn, but with a hint of humor. The bus stopped. I got off first, then patiently helped Mr. Kessler down the high steps. We stood on the sidewalk, looking at the imposing building. My marriage's fate. The sun was hotter, but his presence gave me a strange calm. I no longer felt alone, even with just an old man I'd just met. It felt much better than arriving alone, like a loser. I took a deep breath, filling my lungs with new courage. Together, we walked through the doors, ready to face Gabe and his arrogance. Unbeknownst to me, those small steps beside me were about to cause a huge stir. The Cook County Courthouse, solid, with large pillars, felt cold. My heart pounded. The air felt heavy with the sadness and anger of countless couples. Beside me, Mr. Kessler walked slowly but steadily, his cane tapping a rhythm on the ceramic floor. Our contrasting appearance drew attention. A young woman with a puffy face and simple clothes, with an old man in worn clothes. At the reception desk, I stopped. I felt uncomfortable dragging him into my embarrassing drama. He'd already been too kind. "Sir, thank you so much for accompanying me. If you have other business, please go ahead. I don't want you waiting for my hearing, which might take a long time. The atmosphere isn't pleasant for an older person." Mr. Kessler smiled slightly, the wrinkles at his eyes crinkling kindly. He didn't move. "Stella, an old man like me has plenty of free time. It's lonely at home. Besides, it's hot outside. It's cool in here. Let me just sit in the waiting area. It'll rest my legs." I looked at him doubtfully. "But sir, when my husband arrives, I'm afraid he might be rude. I don't want you to be offended or yelled at. My husband can be short-tempered." His face became a little more serious, though his smile hadn't vanished. He gently patted my hand. "That's precisely why I want to be here. I want to see for myself what kind of man would dare waste a woman as polite and good as you. Don't worry about me. This old man has seen a lot. A young man's shouting won't give me a heart attack." Hearing him address me so respectfully touched my heart. A sincere respect, long gone from Gabe's lips. I nodded in resignation, but inside, I felt relieved. Honestly, I was afraid to face Gabe alone. Mr. Kessler's presence, even as a silent stranger, gave me a bit of security. Like a father, ready to defend his daughter. "All right then, sir. Let's sit over there," I invited. We walked to the waiting chairs. Some people looked at us. A security guard eyed Mr. Kessler suspiciously. But he walked with his chin up, indifferent, strange self-confidence, as if this building were his own home. As we sat, I fidgeted, my eyes darting, searching for Gabe. The fear was still there. The image of Gabe in his designer suit, overpowering cologne, hurtful words, my stomach churned. "Stay calm, my dear," Mr. Kessler whispered, sensing my anxiety. "Take a deep breath. Don't let him see you tremble. If you look weak, he'll feel victorious." I followed his advice, controlling my racing heart. "Did you ever go through something like this?" I asked, trying to distract myself. Mr. Kessler gazed at the painting of the scales of justice. "I've seen thousands cry in buildings like this, my dear. With regret, with pain, with joy. Divorce is painful, but sometimes it's the gateway to true happiness. God breaks your heart today, perhaps to save your soul in the future." Those wise words. I felt this old man was no ordinary person. His speech was too refined. But I didn't dare ask who he was. For me, he was my guardian angel. Case number 15. Petitioner and respondent, please prepare. The loudspeaker echoed. I flinched. Not my case, but a reminder. Almost 9 a.m. Gabe should be here. Suddenly, from the main entrance, dress shoes clicked sharply. Steps full of confidence, arrogance. I knew that sound. My body tensed. "He's here," I whispered, my face pale. Mr. Kessler turned. There, striding in, was a handsome but arrogant young man in a well-pressed designer suit, crisp white shirt, silk tie. Behind him, another man with a thick briefcase. His lawyer. Gabe arrived like a king. He didn't look left or right, gaze fixed straight ahead, as if everyone should move. The aura of arrogance was thick. Mr. Kessler narrowed his eyes, staring intently. His hand gripped his cane tighter, not from fear, but to contain his anger. So that's the guy, he seemed to think. Let's see how high he can fly before his wings get clipped. I lowered my head, trying to hide. Too late. Gabe had spotted me. A mocking smile appeared on his lips. He changed direction, walking towards me with disdain, ready to launch his first verbal assault to crush my morale. He didn't notice the scruffy old man sitting silently beside me, observing his every move like an eagle. The sun was higher, but the lobby felt icy. Gabe stood right in front of me, his posture exuding arrogance. His expensive cologne, now nauseating, reminded me of the stranger he'd become. Beside him was an equally dapper man, clutching a leather briefcase, a smug look, adjusting his glasses, glancing at me with contempt. Well, Gabe began, sarcastic, sharp. Deliberately loud. People turned. You finally showed up. I thought you'd be crying in the bathroom all day, too scared to face me. I took a deep breath, trying to straighten my frail back. Mr. Kessler's words, "Don't look weak, I came because it's a legal obligation, Gabe." "I'm respecting the court summons," I replied softly, but clearly. Gabe snorted, a short, painful laugh. "Respecting the law? Oh, listen to you. Get a grip, Stella. Look at your wrinkled, disheveled appearance. How did you even get here? Did you take a CTA bus? Or maybe you walked to get some pity points? You smell like road dust." My face flushed. Shame spread to my ears. He knew my weak spots. "I took the bus, Gabe," I answered honestly. "The bus?" He repeated it with disgust, as if I'd confessed to eating garbage. He turned to the man beside him. "Did you hear that, Leo? The wife of a senior associate at a prestigious law firm rides the city bus. How embarrassing. Good thing that status is about to end. I can't imagine if my VIP clients knew my wife squeezed in with the lower class, sweating all over them." Leo nodded, a smirk playing on his lips. "She's in a different league, Gabe. Your decision is the right one. A woman like this would only be a stain on our firm's top-tier image." My blood boiled. They were talking about me like an inanimate object, without ears or feelings. Humiliated publicly by my own husband and a stranger. "Let me introduce you, Stella. This is Leo," Gabe said, gesturing with his thumb, showing no respect. "He's my colleague, a top law school graduate, and he'll be the attorney making sure you walk out of this hearing with nothing but the old clothes on your back." So, my advice is, instead of being embarrassed in there by Leo's legal arguments that your small-town brain won't understand, you should just give up now. Gabe snapped his fingers. Leo pulled a thick blue folder from his briefcase and shoved it roughly into my chest, forcing me to take it. "Sign this now," Gabe ordered, his eyes hard, full of intimidation. "This is a statement waiving all claims to marital assets. The house, the car, the land. It's all in my name because I made the payments. You were just freeloading. Sign it, and I'll give you $5,000 as charity. Enough for you to go back to your hometown and open a food stall." I looked at the blue folder. My hands trembled with rage. $5,000. He valued my devotion, my sweat, my 5 years of loyalty supporting him from nothing, at a mere $5,000. Meanwhile, the house down payment came from my savings, from sewing day and night. "I'm not signing it, Gabe," I refused. My voice trembled as I held back tears. "We bought that house together. The down payment was my money. I have a right to that house." Gabe's face turned red. Veins bulged in his neck. He hadn't expected me to contradict him in front of his colleague. "You wretched woman," he hissed, stepping closer until his face was inches from mine, trying to physically intimidate me. "You want to play rough? You think that little bit of money you had back then means anything? I paid for the rest. You're just a parasite, a leech." His harsh words hung in the air. His furious eyes were suddenly distracted by the figure of the old man, sitting quietly on the bench, listening. The old man, in worn clothes, with a wooden cane, was now looking at Gabe with a strange, cold gaze. Gabe frowned, annoyed by the stranger. He waved his hand at Mr. Kessler as if shooing away a beggar. "Get out of here, old man. Don't listen in on important people's business. This is a private matter, not a free show." Gabe yelled rudely. Mr. Kessler remained unfazed, simply shifting his cane, then smiling faintly. A mysterious smile. Please continue, son. I'm enjoying the show. It's not often I get to see someone digging their own grave with their sharp tongue. Gabe stared, eyes wide with offense. What did you say, you decrepit old man who doesn't know his place? Hey, security, where are you? How can a vagrant get into the courthouse waiting area? He's just a nuisance. Gabe turned to Leo. Leo, call security. Tell them to drag this old man out. His smell is distracting me. Gabe! I exclaimed spontaneously, unable to bear seeing Mr. Kessler humiliated. I stepped forward, shielding him. Don't be rude to your elders. This man helped me on the bus. He's a good person, with far more class than you. Gabe burst out laughing. Ah, so this is your new friend, a vagrant from the city bus. Ha ha. Oh, Stella, you've really sunk low. Divorced by a top lawyer. And now you're seeking protection from a stinking beggar. Perfect. You two make a great pair. Both equally pathetic. Leo also laughed mockingly, adjusting his tie. Just let it go, boss. It's not worth stooping to deal with the senile old man. It's a waste of time. Just force your wife to sign and let's get this over with. Gabe stopped laughing, his face fierce again. He glared at me, ignoring Mr. Kessler. Stella! My patience is gone. Sign now or I swear that in that courtroom I will expose all your shameful secrets. I'll make it so you can never show your face in this city again. I froze. Tears streamed down. I felt so small against Gabe's power. Behind me, Mr. Kessler slowly stood up. His movements were calm, but radiated a powerful aura of authority, a stark contrast to his worn clothes. Son. Mr. Kessler's voice was deep, resonant, grave, making Gabe turn instinctively. Are you sure you want to continue with this arrogance? I advise you to speak respectfully to your wife and to your elders because in the legal world you boast about, ethics are paramount. Gabe glared at Mr. Kessler, eyes burning. His emotions peaked, being lectured by someone of a lower class. Who do you think you are to give me advice? What do you know about the law? I'm Gabe Mendoza, a skilled attorney from the biggest firm in the city. You're just dust under my shoe. Get out of my sight before I have the guard drag you away. Mr. Kessler let out a long sigh, shaking his head slowly, as if looking at a spoiled, lost child. Gabe had no idea that the shout he had just unleashed was the biggest mistake of his life. He had just awakened the giant whose portrait he worshipped on his office wall, but whose real face he didn't recognize. The atmosphere in the lobby suddenly fell silent, as if all the air had been sucked out. Gabe, his pride wounded, snorted. His hand, holding a pen, pointed at Mr. Kessler's face, trembling with suppressed rage. Listen to me, old man. Gabe growled, eyes blazing. I don't care who you are. If you open your mouth again, I'll sue you for harassment. This is between me and my wife, who doesn't know her place. He turned his rage back to me. He grabbed my arm roughly, making me cry out. Gabe, you're hurting me. I whimpered, trying to pull away. Sign it now. Gabe shouted, forcing the blue folder against my chest. Don't expect some Prince Charming to come and save you. Realize your position, Stella. You are nothing without me. Let her go. The voice boomed. It wasn't mine. It was Mr. Kessler's. This time, not the voice of a frail old man. It thundered with authority and a resonant dignity that would make anyone's courage shrink. Gabe was startled. He instinctively released my arm. Mr. Kessler took a step forward. The sound of his wooden cane hitting the ceramic floor was sharp, piercing. He stood tall, chest out, as if the weight of age had vanished. His once dull eyes now glared at Gabe with a gaze as sharp as an eagle. "Since when does Kessler and Partners hire street thugs as senior associates?" he asked, his tone cold and measured. Gabe froze. His eyes widened. The name of the law firm. Pronounced with a very specific intonation. Kessler and Partners. His workplace. One of the most prestigious in the country. "How do you know the name of my firm?" Gabe stammered, his arrogance crumbling. Mr. Kessler didn't answer. He slowly adjusted the collar of his worn plaid shirt. Then, with a calm but meaningful gesture, he ran his fingers through his white hair, pushing it back. His face was now clearly visible under the lights. The firm jawline. The aquiline nose. The distinctive mole under his left eye. Leo, Gabe's colleague, standing behind him, suddenly went rigid. The briefcase slipped from his grasp, falling with a thud. "Leo, what's wrong with you?" Gabe turned, confused by his colleague's sudden pale, ghost-like appearance. Leo was trembling violently. His eyes were fixed on Mr. Kessler's face with a look of horror mixed with awe. "Boss," Leo whispered, voice choked, pointing a trembling finger. "Boss." "Gabe, look closely." "Look closely." "What am I looking at?" Gabe shouted, annoyed. He turned back, carefully. Time seemed to stand still for Gabe. His eyes scanned the old face. His memory flew to a giant 6-foot oil painting that hung majestically in the main lobby of Kessler and Partners. The painting of the firm's founder. The living legend of the legal world. The god of justice, whose books were required reading for every law student. The figure Gabe had always idolized, whose photo he kept on his desk, but whom he had never met in person because the legend had long since retired. The face before him, though older and thinner than in the painting, was the same face. Blood drained from Gabe's face. Instantly. Once red with anger, it turned as white as a sheet. His legs felt like jelly. Cold sweat, large as beads of corn, formed on his forehead. His heart, which had pounded with emotion, now throbbed with sheer terror. "Mr. Kessler," Gabe whispered, voice almost inaudible, swallowed by overwhelming fear. Mr. Kessler smiled faintly. But it wasn't the kind smile from the bus. It was the cold smile of a supreme judge about to deliver a death sentence. "It seems your eyes aren't completely blind, Gabe Mendoza," Mr. Kessler said calmly, using Gabe's full name. "I thought you had forgotten the face of the founder of the place where you make your living." Gabe's world collapsed. His knees trembled so badly he had to grab the back of a chair to keep from falling. The scruffy old man he had insulted as a vagrant, whom he had called smelly, whom he had tried to kick out like a dog, was Professor Arthur Kessler. The sole owner of the law firm where he worked. The person who held absolute control over his career and his future. I watched, confused. My husband, fierce as a lion moments ago, now shrinking into a terrified mouse. "Gabe, what's wrong?" I asked innocently, not understanding. Gabe couldn't answer. His tongue paralyzed. Leo, reacting first, bowed deeply, almost 90 degrees, to Mr. Kessler. His posture filled with exaggerated fear. "I'm so sorry, Professor. I didn't recognize you in those clothes. Please forgive my rudeness. I was just brought here by Gabe. I don't know anything." Leo stammered, trying to save himself. Mr. Kessler didn't glance at Leo. His gaze remained fixed on Gabe, who was still petrified, mouth agape. "You said your wife is an embarrassment because she takes the bus?" Mr. Kessler asked. His voice soft, but piercing. "I also took the bus today. Does that mean I'm an embarrassment to you as well?" Gabe shook his head weakly. Tears of fear welled up. No, Professor. No, that's not what I meant. I swear I didn't know it was you. I swear, Professor, if you had known it was me, you would have kissed my feet." Is that it? Mr. Kessler interrupted sharply. But because you thought I was a poor person, you felt you had the right to trample on me. Is that the mentality of the lawyers I've trained at my firm? Mr. Kessler's voice rose, echoing. Gabe felt struck by lightning. If Professor Kessler testified against him, it was over. No judge would dare contradict an Arthur Kessler. Not only would he lose the divorce hearing, but his career would be shattered. Blacklisted. Professor, please don't do this. Gabe suddenly dropped to his knees, his pride completely destroyed. He hugged Mr. Kessler's legs, sobbing uncontrollably. I'm begging you, Professor. My career, my future. Don't destroy me. I'll withdraw the petition. I'll cancel the divorce. I'll go back to Stella. Please, Professor. The scene was truly pathetic. And, I admit, satisfying. Gabe, who had arrived like a king, was now begging at the feet of the person he'd insulted. I looked away. I couldn't watch, but I also felt disgusted by his insincerity. He was pleading not out of love for me, but out of fear of losing his position. Mr. Kessler looked down coldly at Gabe, unmoved. He slowly shifted his foot, breaking free. It's too late for theatrics, Gabe, Mr. Kessler said coldly. You're begging not because you regret hurting your wife, but because you're afraid of losing your world. Your wife deserves her freedom today. She deserves to be free from a leech like you. Get up. Don't humiliate yourself further. We're going to finish this in front of the judge like a man, as a man responsible for his actions should. He then turned to me, extending his wrinkled but steady hand. Come on, Stella. Let's go inside. Don't be afraid. Justice is on your side. I took his hand. My eyes filled with tears of emotion. I walked into that hearing room with my head held high, accompanied by the legal legend himself. Meanwhile, Gabe, with faltering steps and an empty soul, dragged his feet behind us into the courtroom, which was about to become the tomb of his own arrogance. Hearing room number 3 felt colder, more oppressive than usual. The faded walls and wooden benches were silent witnesses. At the petitioner's table, Gabe sat slumped. His proud posture gone. His face pale, eyes blank, staring at the empty judge's bench. Cold sweat. Beside him, Leo, usually so smooth and cunning, sat stiff as a wax figure. He didn't even dare open his briefcase. Both their careers were on the line. At the respondent's table, I sat calmly, hands folded. Next to me, Mr. Kessler. Though only in a worn plaid shirt, his aura of dignity made that simple wooden chair feel like a king's throne. He sat upright, hands resting on his cane, eyes closed for a moment, as if meditating, waiting for the battle. The bailiff called the court to order. 3 judges entered. Everyone stood. The presiding judge, a middle-aged man with thick glasses, walked to the center chair. But as his eyes scanned the room, he paused. His gaze locked onto Mr. Kessler. He squinted, making sure he wasn't mistaken. A second later, his stern face changed to shock, mixed with extraordinary respect. He recognized him. His former dissertation advisor. A retired Supreme Court justice. Professor Kessler, the presiding judge murmured, his voice clearly audible. The 2 associate judges turned in surprise, then instinctively inclined their bodies towards our table. A gesture of respect rarely seen. Mr. Kessler opened his eyes, smiled faintly, and gave a calm, dignified nod. Please proceed with your noble duty, Your Honor. Consider me not here. I am just an old man accompanying an acquaintance in her search for justice. Consider me not here had precisely the opposite effect. Mr. Kessler's presence completely changed the atmosphere. The presiding judge swallowed hard, aware this hearing was directly supervised by the Grandmaster himself. The standard of justice suddenly rose. No room for foul play. Very well, Professor. Thank you for your presence. It is an honor for us, the judge replied, slightly nervous but polite. He then glared at Gabe, a look that said, "Are you trying to get yourself killed, daring to go against someone protected by him?" The gavel struck 3 times. The hearing is now in session. Mr. Gabe Mendoza, the judge's voice was grave. In the petition you filed, you seek a divorce on grounds of incompatibility and claim full control of all marital assets, alleging your wife, Mrs. Stella, has no financial contribution. Do you stand by this petition? Silence fell. All eyes on Gabe. He tried to speak, but his voice was stuck. He glanced at Mr. Kessler, who stared calmly ahead. Gabe knew. One wrong word, one more lie in front of his master's master, and it would be over. Mr. Kessler could destroy his reputation with a single phone call. Leo nudged Gabe, signaling panic. Withdraw, boss. Withdraw the petition. Don't be crazy, Gabe trembled. He remembered Mr. Kessler's threat in the lobby, "Your integrity is zero." If he insisted on impoverishing me in front of Mr. Kessler, he wouldn't just lose respect. He would lose his future. The law firm was owned by Mr. Kessler. "Mr. Mendoza," the judge called, more forcefully. "I repeat, do you stand by your claim to the marital assets?" Gabe took a deep, heavy, painful breath. He glanced at me. I wasn't looking at him with hatred, but with pity. That look stung his pride more than anger ever could. He realized he had already lost completely, even before the gavel fell. "No, Your Honor," Gabe finally answered, his voice weak, like a deflated balloon. The judge raised his eyebrows. "No, what do you mean?" Gabe hung his head low, not daring to look up. I withdraw my claim to the marital assets, Your Honor. I acknowledge that the house and its contents are community property. I am even willing to surrender my share entirely to my wife as a form of my responsibility. Leo let out a sigh of relief beside him, nearly slumping out of his chair. At least they weren't committing mass suicide today. My eyes widened in surprise. I glanced at Mr. Kessler. The old man remained calm. No victory, just a slight nod, as if this were the normal and expected outcome. "Let the record show," the judge said firmly, "Mr. Mendoza surrenders the assets in their entirety to Mrs. Stella." "So, what about the grounds for divorce? Do you still insist that Mrs. Stella is not worthy of being with you?" This was a trap. If Gabe answered yes with reasons of economic or social status, he would look incredibly petty in Mr. Kessler's eyes. Gabe shook his head weakly. Tears of frustration and shame dripped onto the table. "No, Your Honor, that reason is not relevant. I was the one who was wrong. I was not able to be a good husband. I want a divorce because I am no longer worthy of her." A wave of restrained emotion spread through the tense room. Gabe's confession, though born of fear, sounded honest to my ears. This was the first time he had admitted his fault, even if forced. Mr. Kessler suddenly raised his right hand slightly. "Your Honor, may I speak for a moment as the respondent's companion?" The presiding judge immediately nodded respectfully. "Of course, Professor, the floor is yours." Mr. Kessler didn't stand. He remained seated, but his voice filled the room. He didn't look at the judge, but stared intently at the profile of Gabe's bowed head. The law was created to humanize humans. "Son," Mr. Kessler said, his voice soft, but cutting to the bone. "Your law degree and your expensive suit are worthless if you use them to oppress the person who once devoted her life to you. Today you lose your wife, but at least you saved what's left of your conscience by telling the truth just now. Do not repeat this mistake in the future. Be a lawyer who defends the truth, not one who defends greed." Gabe sobbed quietly. His shoulders shook. Those words were both a slap and a final piece of advice from the idol he had disappointed. The shame he felt today would be etched in his memory for life. "Thank you, Professor," the presiding judge said quietly. He then reasserted his authority. Very well, since the petitioner has admitted his fault and surrendered his rights to the assets, and both parties agree to separate. The court will now proceed to read the judgment immediately. I listened to every word with mixed feelings, relief, sadness, but also a sense of liberation. I wouldn't be left destitute. I wouldn't be humiliated. Instead, I had watched my arrogant husband crumble. When the gavel struck 3 times, finalizing the decree, I felt 1,000-ton weight lifted. I turned to Mr. Kessler's serene face. "Thank you, sir," I whispered, tears in my eyes. "You didn't just help me on the bus. You saved my life." Mr. Kessler smiled, patting my hand. "It wasn't me, my dear. It was your own kindness that saved you. I was just an instrument." Across the table, Gabe slowly stood up. He didn't dare look at me, let alone Mr. Kessler. He nodded to the judge with a trembling hand. Then he walked quickly out of the room without looking back, followed by a stumbling Leo. Gabe left carrying a crushing defeat and a shame that would haunt his career forever. Meanwhile, I remained seated, upright, ready to embrace a new chapter, head held high. The trial of conscience had been won by honesty. The hearing room doors slowly closed, leaving all the bitterness of the past inside. Gabe's hurried footsteps faded down the corridor as he fled his own shadow. The man who had arrived this morning with his head held high, full of arrogance, now disappeared around the corner, shoulders slumped, not daring to glance back. Leo followed at a distance, as if he no longer wanted to be associated with the loser who had just been humiliated by his own mentor. I let out a long sigh. The air outside the hearing room felt much fresher, as if the oxygen supply blocked in my chest was now flowing freely. I was no longer the unvalued wife of a successful lawyer. I was a free woman who had successfully defended my rights, my dignity, and my home, all earned through my own sweat. "Are you at peace now, my dear?" The deep, gentle voice greeted me. I turned. Mr. Kessler was smiling warmly. The intimidating aura he'd projected was gone, replaced by the kind, fatherly old man. "Very much at peace, sir," I answered honestly, eyes welling. "I don't know how to thank you enough. If you hadn't been here, I might have walked out with nothing." We walked slowly together toward the exit. His pace was slow, aided by his cane, and I faithfully matched his steps, just as I had on the bus. "You don't have to thank me, Stella," Mr. Kessler said, looking out at the sunny courthouse courtyard. "Your victory today isn't because of me, but because of the sincerity of your own heart. God is the great director. He arranged the script for you to take the same bus as me, for you to help me, and for me to be there to return the favor. That is God's way of embracing you when you are in trouble." As we reached the entrance lobby, a sleek black sedan, far more luxurious than Gabe's, was waiting. A chauffeur in an impeccable uniform quickly got out and opened the rear door. Mr. Kessler's driver. He paused before getting in. He reached into his plaid shirt pocket and pulled out a simple ivory-colored business card with embossed gold lettering. Just a name and a personal phone number, no long list of titles. "Keep this," Mr. Kessler said, placing the card in my hands. "Your house is secure now, but life must go on. If you ever need a job or legal assistance in the future, don't hesitate to call this number. The doors of my firm are always open to honest people like you." I accepted the card with trembling hands. I bowed respectfully and kissed the back of his hand, like a daughter to her father. "Thank you, sir. May you always be blessed with health and long life." "One more thing," Mr. Kessler said, patting my shoulder. His gaze was deep and serious. "Never regret this separation. Don't cry over losing that man. You didn't lose anything, Stella. He is the one who lost everything by chasing after stones and throwing away a jewel. You have just reclaimed your dignity. Go home with your head held high. Redecorate your house. Cook your favorite meal and start a new happy life." I nodded firmly. Tears streamed down my cheeks, but this time they were not tears of sadness. Yes, sir. I will remember your words. Mr. Kessler smiled broadly, then got into his car. The window rolled down slowly, revealing a final wave from the legal legend before the car pulled away, leaving the courthouse and driving into the bustling city. After he left, I stood alone on the sidewalk, but strangely, I didn't feel lonely. I felt whole. I looked toward the street where the CTA bus I had taken that morning was passing by again, black smoke trailing. That old bus, which I once considered a symbol of my poverty, had turned out to be the chariot that carried me to justice. I looked up at the clear, cloudless blue sky. The sun was shining brightly, dazzling, but warm. I touched my dress pocket, feeling the texture of Mr. Kessler's business card, the keys to my house that were now legally mine. No more fear. No more low self-esteem. Gabe might have status and money, but I had something money can't buy, courage and a clear conscience. I smiled broadly, the most sincere smile I'd shown in years. I walked with a light step toward the bus stop, ready to return to my home, my castle, to begin a new chapter. Life is full of surprises, and today I learned that kindness, no matter how small, is never in vain. Justice had found its way home. So, tell me, after hearing my story, what would you have done in my place? Have you ever had a moment like this, where a small act changed everything? I really want to know what you think.